Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Henry Hutcheson has some dirty secrets for us. Let's find out what he has to say. Henry, thanks for being with us today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, Henry, we probably should explain to our audience, the dirty secrets involve your book, which is entitled Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business. What is a family business? How would you define that?
Well, gosh, it's a business where there's one or more people that are related to each other in some way, shape, or form who are either owning or managing a business together. And that family dynamic makes it kind of unusual from other regular businesses.
So it could be the law firm Smith & Son, or the accounting practice Johnson Brothers, or a name similar to that?
It can be any business. The interesting thing, though, is that, you know, I work exclusively in the family business field, but I get hired a lot of times by accounting firms and law firms and other partner-based firms, because a lot of times these companies get started by a group of people they're not related to each other, but they've developed such a relationship that when they start running into issues or going to transition the business, they're very sensitive to making sure that they don't hurt the feelings of the other partners, that they ask me to come in and help them, because they're not blood related, but their relationship is such that they feel that they're family. So it actually can be a business where people are that connected with each other.
And if I recall from your book, while we usually think of the family business as something relatively small, a gas station, an accounting practice, maybe a store in town that's gone from one level of the family, you know, it's been there 80 years. But some family businesses are worldwide, am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. It is true that I tell people that that I work with family businesses, and they come back later and they say, oh, so I understand you work with small businesses. But it's true that a lot of, it's by the nature of businesses, there are more smaller businesses than larger businesses, but about a third of the Fortune 500 corporations are family owned, run, or managed. And interestingly, it was in a Forbes magazine article probably about a year ago or so, America's richest families, and probably 90% of America's richest families all came from family businesses. You know, S.C. Johnson, Walmart, Ford, etc.
So I guess we really better pay attention to what you have to say.
Absolutely. I'll make you America's richest family.
There you go. You're a very important man. And did I just hear you say 1/3 of the Fortune 500 are family businesses? Is that what you said?
Correct.
Wow.
1/3, about 1/3.
Well,
yeah.
That's really amazing.
Those are, by definition, they're quite large.
And you mentioned it in talking, but I just want our audience to know, this is your specialty in the world. Like some attorneys are specialized in criminal law. Sometimes a doctor may be an orthopedic surgeon, or someone else is a foot doctor. But you literally specialize in family businesses as opposed to just any and all businesses. Is that correct?
Correct. We get calls all the time from people that are saying, hey, my family's arguing with each other, and can you come help? And I say, well, no, that's not what I do. And then I get other calls from businesses that say, hey, you know, our business isn't performing as well as we'd like. Can you come help? And I say, well, no, that's not what I do. It's half of what I do. But then I get calls from people say, hey, we are in business, and I'm in business with my family members, and we're having problems. Okay, great. Let's have a conversation. Maybe it is appropriate for me to come work with you guys. So that's if there's it's got to be a family and in business together for me to engage with them.
It sounds like on the great sphere of all positions in the world, you're somewhere between the divorce attorney who has to get people to come together and the business consultant who's trying to make money for the company. Well,
I usually use the marriage counselor as the analogy.
Right, exactly.
As But I'm the therapist. I'm the family therapist, and I'm also the business consultant at the same time. And it's that intersection that's really the hard part. You know, you got family members and the issues, all the issues that go on with family, and now you put them in a business, which is obviously complicated in and of itself, and you put those two things together, and that's where it gets its own dynamic.
Now, I picked up a lot of numbers in going through your book. Something like 70% of all businesses are family businesses, which I think that would astound us if we were on one of those quiz shows. I certainly would have gotten that wrong. I thought it would be like 2 or 3%, but something like 70. But then, while that's a huge number, you say, I think 2 out of 3 do not survive the next generation. Did I get that correct?
You did, and that so basically there's a lot of them, and most of them fail, which is kind of why I do what I do. You know, the 2/3 number's been tracked since the 70s from an organization called FFI, and so basically if you have 100 family businesses, and by the way, that's from any generation to any other generation, so it's from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So if I start with 100 businesses that started out and they became family businesses, when they transition to the next generation, there's only going to be 33 left over after, I think they measure it 2 years after they hand over the ownership or the leadership. And then they transition from 2 to 3, and now there's only going to be 11 left because I lost 2/3. And then you transition again, there's only going to be 4, less than 4 remaining when you get into the 4th generation. So yeah.
I would think if there's any family businesses listening to our show right now, they better make sure to get your name down as we give information about you, because they're definitely going to need you if they want the business to keep going on and to be there years and years and years later. So definitely a lot of good information today.
While that may be true, I mean, I can be helpful, but people always ask me, what's the number one thing I can do? And there is no number one thing, but in the effort of trying to come up with an answer is you need to realize that being a family and business is hard, and therefore you need to put forth a conscientious effort towards trying to make it work, because it's not going to happen naturally. And I think that's probably the biggest root cause is you get a family in business, they love their kids, the business is going okay, and you think that the transition will just occur, and it doesn't. You have to put forth effort.
Henry would like to let our audience know, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today we're speaking with Henry Hutcheson. He is the author of Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business. And Henry, where can we get the book, and is there a website that we can get more information about this?
Sure. Well, it's currently available in basically every airport bookstore. If you know Hudson Booksellers, they are the bookstores that are in most all of the airports around the country. So it's in all those bookstores, number one. But it's also available at Barnes & Nobles and Amazon, and it's also available on our website, familybusinessusa.com. So if you go to familybusinessusa.com, you can buy our book. You can find out about, our team, our philosophy. And there's also a bunch of information that's on there in addition to the book about, ways to deal with certain issues that are in a family business. So it's a great resource for family businesses.
I didn't know it was in the Hudson stores in the airports, but I was going to say, as I was reading it, this would be an excellent read for, if you're waiting in an airport, if you're getting on a plane. Obviously, a lot of the concepts apply to any business, and it's light reading. Someone can go through it quickly, and if you can use that time productively, obviously, all the better. Now, some good news that I read: family businesses outperform non-family businesses. That's pretty neat, because somehow you would think that they would be hanging in there. It's the family business. I got a free job. I can leave early on Fridays, stuff like that. But they actually do better than the non-family businesses. Tell us about that.
Well, it's I found this fascinating, and there's a bunch of research behind it, but family businesses have a number of advantages that non-family businesses have. And we could go on all day, but, they've got long-term planning that they can do, because if I own a business and my kids are going to take it over, I can make investments in things that I know won't come to fruition for another 10 years, but I don't have to worry about the money coming to me because it'll just go to my kids. They can make quick decisions because, if there's a problem or an opportunity, I can go get my brother and my sister and my dad, and we can all get in a room and say, hey, we got this situation. We get in the room, we hash it out, we come up with an answer. In a corporation, it can take months and months and months and months. But the reason why family businesses can outperform on a number of financial metrics comes down to trust. When you've got a group of family members that all trust each other, they have two benefits. Number one, you go do your job, I do my job, and we don't worry about each other because we're both, family members and we're in on this thing. So I trust what you're doing, you trust what I'm doing. But we also both act like owners. Even though I may be in charge of marketing and you're in charge of finance, I still am acting like an owner, even though I may be the child or, I'm not necessarily the CEO. It's our business, and so we care about it. Now, a lot of people think that's kind of wishy-washy mumbo-jumbo, and that's how I felt when I first, found this out. However, take the trust out of a family business where people are not trusting each other. And those are the ones that don't make it. Those are the ones that fall apart. Those are the ones that don't make it from one generation to the next. So you can see how important trust is. And, hey, trust is important in any business. The problem is that when you get to a corporation, we're not connected with each other. I may respect my boss and I may respect my company. I used to work at IBM. It was a great company. And one of their mottos was respect for the individual. But nonetheless, I'm working for my boss and my boss works for somebody else and we're all working for the company. But it's a different thing from being related to somebody. It's a different level of trust.
Now, in your book, you refer to the word professionalizing the family business. Is this what you do? Like I guess all family businesses have their own way of doing something kind of home-baked and simple. Do you come in and kind of bring it up a few levels?
I get it to where I get it to where it needs to be from wherever it may be. But let me give you some background on that. So, every business that started, every family business that started, typically started with an individual. It could have been a group, but typically an individual who, either saw an opportunity or their back was against the wall. They were unemployed and they were trying to find a job. And through hard work and, being sufficiently intelligent and some luck, they made this thing work, right? And for some reason, they did it better than other people. And lo and behold, now I've got this business that's making money. And so the next generation comes along, and I bring them in, and I'm transitioning the business. And I don't really know exactly why the way that I do it seems to work. I just know that this is how I do it, and I want you guys to do it the way I do it. And if you do it like I do it, you should continue to be successful. So when you go to a second-generation family business and you ask them, why do you do things the way that you do, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, well, this is the way Dad did it. And Dad told us to do it this way. Or Mom, this is the way that he did it. However, as you keep going forward, that's not going to be good enough to sustain the business going forward because times change. And so you need to kind of understand, why do we do the things that we do, and how do we make sure that we do them over and over again on a professional manner. And by the way, you've grown larger and you've become more disconnected and you don't have the level of control. And so you do need to professionalize your business. You need to make sure people are qualified for the jobs that they do, that they're trained, so on and so forth, that you have policies in place and procedures and so on and so forth. So you have to become a professional, legitimate business at some point. Family businesses can push back a little bit because, it's family and you like that family feeling. And you can keep that family feeling. It's just you want to make sure that people are showing up on time and doing their job so that, the goose is laying golden eggs and everybody's making the money that we should be making.
Henry, I have a lot of questions for you because I think this is a fascinating area, but at this point in the show, we want to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success, and my name is Bill Horan. Today, we're speaking with Henry Hutcheson. He's the author of Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business. You're listening to the show on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief break.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Bell, and I invited you here to my hotel room to talk about your cheeks. Your big, beautiful cheeks. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about swabbing them. Did you guys know that each year 20,000 Americans with blood cancer are searching for their life-saving marrow match? Can you even believe that? I mean, people need marrow, you guys. And we have it. So here's how we can help. It's really, really simple. All you have to do is swab your cheek. Then go to Gift of Life Marrow Registry. It's so easy, anyone can do it. And in case you're wondering, if you're a match, donating, it's a lot easier than you think. So wherever you are, go ahead and swab that cheek. Go to giftoflife.org and get a free kit sent to your home, or find a donor drive in your area so that you can swab a cheek and save a life. It's only a minute of your time, but it can give someone else the rest of their life.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking to Henry Hutcheson, the author of Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business. Henry, when a child is coming up and probably graduating high school or college or whatever program he's in or she's in, is it good to go directly into the family business, or should they be forced out into the world for some period of time, and if so, how long?
Well, that's a great question. As you've got kids in the business, it's great to bring them in and come in summer jobs, spring breaks, whatever it may be, to let them get a feel for the business, see if they have an inclination towards it, if they're interested in it, so on and so forth. But once you finish your schooling, they can come into business, but it's best to go work somewhere else for a period of time. In my mind, I'm going to say 2 years. And a lot of people think that it's based on, hey, why don't you go get some experience in a competitor or some related industry, which is good. But the reality is what you're trying to accomplish is you want your kids to go out and kind of create a sense of independence. Go out into the world and find out who you are. Go get an apartment with some friends, go get a job, and go live your life disconnected from your family, disconnected from your family business. Hey, I'm not saying you can't be friends with your family and you have to be completely disconnected, but go establish your own life and go see what that means. And as you go through work, you're going to be evaluated by a bunch of people that don't owe you a thing. You're going to be judged purely on your merits, and you're going to live in the real world, and you're going to have to deal with the real world. After you've done that for a couple of years, you've kind of established a sense of who you are and so on and so forth. And, hey, maybe you're doing great. You don't want to come back to the family business. And at the end of the day, the goal is to be happy and productive in your life, wherever that may be. But when you come back, if you decide you do want to come back to the family business, you're going to be much happier because you know that you've done your own thing and you're not here because you have to be here. And you're going to have a level of independence and independent thought that you can bring to the table, and experience that you can bring to the table. And you're going to be much happier and much more valuable at the company long term, especially if you end up running the company, because when you own a business and you're running a business, you have to sit alone and make these decisions by yourself. You get input from people, you talk to your employees, et cetera, but you sit alone at the top of the company and you've got to decide, am I going to invest $1 million in this thing, or am I going to have to fire these people or make this big decision? So it's kind of the last experience you're going to have of having independent thought and being out in the world before you have to actually run a business. So it's the highest correlation to success in transitioning a family business is the next generation working somewhere else.
It would also seem it gives the person important. A little credibility and also a benchmark just to see how some other business worked. So when they're talking about it, people just don't look at them and go, oh, he's here because his daddy owns the company, or she's here because her mother owns the company, type of thing. So
right. Flying under the wing of your father and mother your whole life.
There you go.
Who are you as a person? You're just your parents' child.
One of the questions is, I'm reading a book, it kept popping up to me, so it must be something that comes up. The role of spouses. I would think if you have 3 children, 2 or 3 children in a company, they come in and might be one of those fine families that just get along and respect each other and are very thankful that they got this great organization and dad or mom has set it up over the years. But now a spouse comes in and goes, gee, your brother has all the power, or it's amazing, your sister gets away with that. She gets 6 weeks vacation, you only get 3. Is that a lot of problem, or where you see the problems with the spouses who come into the picture?
Well, it's not necessarily a problem. The way that I look at it is, there's there's the family in the business, and then there's the family members that are running the business, right? And the people that have the influence, there's people that influence the business in the direction of what's going on in a business. There's the key employees that are non-family members. There's the family members that are in the business. Then there's the family members that are outside of the business. Maybe I work in the business and my sister does not work in the business. She may be a potential owner. She's the child of my parents who may be in the business, so she's connected to it, has some influence. But then there can also be the spouse that is not a blood relative of a family member. So, we all go home at night and we talk to whomever we talk to, our trusted people that are in our lives, and they can be family members or they can be friends. But those of us that are married, we go home and we talk to our spouse about, what's going on in my life, what's going on in work, and so on and so forth. And you share all of these thoughts with them, and they have inputs, and they influence how you think about certain things. And so the way that I think about it is one of the great things, one of the great tools to running an effective family business is having family business meetings, having them once a quarter, having them last about an hour and a half. And the important thing is to have them regularly. Every 90 days, you have them whether you want them or need them or not. You put yourselves in a room and we talk about whatever we need to talk about the fact that we're a family in business. And periodically, once or twice a year, you invite the spouses and the other family members to come into the meeting. And you let them participate and say, hey, what's on your mind? What do you think about what's going on here? Because you're kind of in this boat too. And sometimes you'll get a perspective on what people are thinking that some people can't state for themselves, or maybe my spouse can state better for me, or gives a lens a different perspective. So you're basically gathering all of the information that's relevant to being a family in business. So it's important to take into consideration.
Again, it's amazing, all of the new elements. And at first I thought, gee, do you have to be a specialist in a family business? And now I'm thinking, how do you even get it done in a lifetime? Because there's so many interesting and diverse problems that could come up that you probably wouldn't see in a non-family related business. Henry, before going on with some more questions, we'd like to let our audience know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're talking about the book Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business with the author, Henry Hutcheson. He's been telling us about it. And Henry, if you could tell us, where is the website again that we should go to if we want to get more information?
Sure, Bill. It's familybusinessusa.com. And in there you can find all about us. You can buy our book or find out where the book's located or where you can buy it. And there's a bunch of great information for family businesses on the website, so I'd encourage you to go check it out.
Now, how about conflict resolution in a family business? If you start to really dislike the people you're working with in another business, you can move on, or they might move on. You might get promoted up the line. You don't have to see them when you go home or at the next family wedding or funeral or, birthday, whatever. Do you have recommendations for your clients concerning how a conflict should be resolved so that there's not hurt feelings and these don't carry over into their personal lives?
I do. The first recommendation is to try to avoid it in the first place.
Okay, avoid. I'll mark that.
Once you're in it, it's obviously a different animal. But again, on the prevention piece, having regular family business meetings every quarter to say, hey, we're a family in business. What are the things we need to be talking about in order to make sure that we are running a good business and our family is staying in harmony? And it gives everybody an opportunity to voice, whatever their concerns are, and you do it on a regular basis. But, there is one special tool that I train people on that's a great conflict avoidance and a conflict resolution tool. And it's for family businesses, non-family businesses, for anybody. And it's called active listening. Now, I bet your listeners have heard that phrase before, and I bet you've heard that phrase before, but I'll bet you don't actually know what it really means. And I don't mean that in a derogatory
No, I'm with you. No, because I'm sure I don't. Yeah.
But active listening, so you and I are having a conversation and we're having a disagreement about something, and it's going on and on and on. It's kind of a chronic thing. And I'm trying to tell you my point of view, and you're trying to tell me your point of view. But the fact of the matter is both of us are so busy probably trying to tell each other what we're trying to tell them that we're not listening to each other. So the point of active listening is I'm going to stop and I'm going to say, Bill, I want you to tell me again exactly what it is that you're trying to tell me. And you're going to tell me what you tell me. And so at one point, I'm going to say, okay, look, let me see if I understand what you're saying. I think I'm hearing you say A, B, C, D, and E. Is that right? And you're going to say, well, not exactly. Okay, well, tell it to me again. And so you're going to tell it to me again. And you're going to keep telling it to me. And I'm going to keep playing it back to you until such point I'm going to say, have I finally got that right? And you're going to say, yes. That's exactly what I've been trying to tell you all this time. So the point of active listening is to convince the speaker that you've heard what they've said. You're going to convince the speaker that you've heard what they've said. So now that you know that I know exactly what you've said, I can now sit back and say, Bill, now that you know that I've heard what you've said and I've understood what you said, let me tell you why I disagree. Or I may say, I've never actually listened long enough to have heard what you've said, and now I kind of see what you're saying. It doesn't mean you agree. It just means that you've convinced the speaker that I've heard what you've said. And now the argument can move beyond that point because you know that you've been understood. And now we can move on to whatever the next point is that we may have a misunderstanding on, and then I'll actively listen and we'll move on to the next point. Tricky part about active listening is that as an individual, I can employ it. I can convince you that I've heard what you've said. But now I need to get you to say, now I want you to convince me that you've heard what I'm saying, right?
There you go, okay.
And we all do this naturally by saying, hey, I get it, or I see what you're saying, or yeah. But that's fine. But when you're in an argument or in conflict, you need to kind of make it overt and say, let me see if I understand what you're saying. And whoever the speaker is going to feel much better now just knowing that they've been heard.
And that's definitely true. I think just that someone is paying attention to what I'm saying, I would certainly feel better, and I'm sure they feel better if I'm repeating it and they can see that I'm at least trying to absorb it, take it in, and appreciate, I guess you'd call it, their point of view. Henry, I'm sure there's many more dirty little secrets in here, and people who have the family business or want to have that family business or maybe see it in the future where it might be just Smith & Company now, it might be Smith & Son in a few years. So if that's in your plans, look for the book, Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business, by our guest, Henry Hutcheson. Henry, the website real quick again?
It's Family Business USA.
Thanks so much for being with us today. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.